Hello, and welcome to the Road to Innsmouth. Join us as we take a journey into the world of the strange, creepy, and unexplained. We're your hosts, I'm Matt,
I'm Gareth.
and welcome to part one of our UK Wildman sightings.
Yeah.
As you can probably tell, we're still recording from lockdown, so we're still doing this over Skype. Hopefully that'll change soon, and will make it a lot easier to record.
Yeah.
So apologies if there's any problems with the actual quality of the recording. It's obviously computer to computer. It's never as good as just being able to do it on a microphone. So, title of the podcast says we would today. I think we're going to be talking about the phenomenal British ape men or wild men.
Yeah.
That have been, even now actually, still reports. I think was it end of this year there was one. Last year there was one. So there's still.
As well.
Yeah, there's still reports coming in. So.
Yeah, 2019. Well, there might have been some this year. I couldn't find any.
Yeah. I mean, it's quite. Some of them are just word of mouth, aren't they, as opposed to making the press. So
Yeah.
it's quite to track down. We're going to chat about this. It's we sort of have slightly different ideas about it, I guess, don't we? So it makes for some good conversation, I think.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah. Should we start with some cases, some reports we've got?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Well, that's just to see what people are coming up with.
I mean, probably one of the big hotspots a few years ago was probably like the Leeds and Bristol area.
Yeah.
There's I've got a lead sighting. A driver travelling back home from York.
On the train, wasn't it?
No, that's the Bristol one. This is someone driving.
Oh, I haven't read that one.
Yeah, so it was like a 35-mile journey, so like 45 minutes to an hour, depending on traffic. They're travelling. They left after midnight. They reported that the weather was odd with intermittent fog and mist patches across the road, and as they got close to home, they felt a sense of dread. And then they reported seeing a large shadowy figure, at least 7 foot tall and 4 foot wide, that didn't have any recognisable features or limbs, but apparently his body was covered in hair. And they said
eyes?
they didn't specify anything about the eyes, but they said the way it moved made them think it was a humanoid type creature. So that was a weird one. I mean,
I've not read that one.
Yeah, I mean, we've both driven.
When was this?
This was heading into Leeds from York.
When?
I don't have a date. It was sometime in the 2010s, I think.
Oh, okay.
I think the post I found it was in 2016. It was posted, but it said a few years previously. So, and the witness didn't have a name. They wanted to remain unknown. So, there's not like a lot of follow up to this. The one thing I would say is, like, we've both driven at night, though, you do randomly get patches of fog and mist.
Yeah.
Especially travelling across fields as it dips down, you've got the cool air. So I don't know if that's necessarily something really bizarre. And also, depending on where it is, you could have, if there's another road parallel nearby and there are some light shining through the fog, that can project a shadow onto the fog, which can make it look bigger than it is. So, I mean, without knowing enough, any more information about that, it's quite a hard one to sort of include as a definitive sighting. The only thing I would say was this witness posted this on a site, and someone replied saying they were walking home one evening in the same area, and they saw two large hairy creatures squatting in the road. Once they were spotted, the creature stood up and made a strange roar and left quickly behind some shops, which makes me think that's right in the middle of a town somewhere, which seems even weirder.
Yeah.
And these were all kind of in the same time. There's a bit of a UFO flap going on in Leeds, which is actually quite common with these sightings. So, but I had a quick look and I couldn't see it ever mentioned again outside of this. Like, it was never reported in the papers in that area or anything. So,
No, what website was this on?
Sorry?
So it was on a website.
Yeah. Hold on, I've got the links down here. I think it's British Paranormal. I think it was on.
Oh, okay.
But that site hasn't been updated for a little while either. So.
No.
And then we've got the Bristol one in November 2017, which is the train. Gentleman leaving from Exeter going to that was Bristol Temple Meads, wasn't it?
Yeah, about 10 miles outside Bristol.
Yeah. Which is an hour and 15-minute journey. So he left at around 11:30, I think. So it would have been 12-ish, I guess. And this is quite a good one, actually. he was looking out as it approaches Bristol. There's a very large, dense woodland, and behind that woodland's actually Bristol Airport. And as the train passed here, he noticed, he thought at the time it was like a large man walking along the hedgerow. It only brought it to his attention because the person or creature was walking a bit strangely. It looked like it was hiding.
So he was hunched over in the story I read.
Yeah, a bit of a hunched walk, and was really dark in colour, like completely all over. It wasn't until just after the sighting that he saw a couple of dog walkers on the same hedgerow a bit further down. He realised how big the other creature must have been, because they looked tiny, and him assuming that they were roughly average size put this other creature at a ginormous height difference.
Yeah.
He said himself he doesn't carry it. He just has a basic phone, so he didn't have a camera or anything on it, and didn't even think of it. He was just fascinated. But yeah, that is a very, very dense woodland. But that was all the information on that. But the report's written that he seems quite genuine, so he seems to think whatever he saw is what he saw, and there's no real reason for him to lie. It wasn't like it made national news or anything. So
No.
I think
There was another guy in 2015, August 17th, 2015.
the Lee Woods, yeah, Lee Woods is a fascinating place. This is a
last
really
one.
good report, actually.
What?
I think he's retired, wasn't he? And he normally goes for a walk with his dog in Lee Woods. But his dog was getting skittish and not wanting to go into the woods, so he decided to go walk on his own. And while he was walking through the path, he heard breaking of twigs and this weird noise, and he assumed it was a deer. So he left the track to go to see if he could find this deer. Then a bit further in, he saw what he described as an ape-type creature digging in the ground with a stick. And after some digging, it managed to grab something off the ground which he thought was raw meat and eat it. And then it used a second twig to pick out the meat from between its teeth. He said he watched for 25 minutes at a distance of 200 yards, like 200 meters ish. And he thought it was communicating with something else. It kept looking to one side of it and making some like chirps and grunts and gestures. And after he described it about 6 foot tall, grey skin, grey hair with some black streaks in it, very prominent chin and wide nose and wide cheeks. And when it left, apparently it fairly effortlessly broke a very large branch off a tree and then laid it against another tree. And I guess he went over to investigate because he'd seen it messing around on the floor, and it looked like it made a mesh of intertwined twigs, which actually links into another report from Lee Woods of a woman who was there who found this weird, like, shack made out of intertwined branches
like
there.
A nest.
Huh?
Like a nest?
Yeah, kind of like a nest or a shelter of some sort. And apparently it's quite well known that the homeless who used to sleep there would only sleep in a certain part of the area because they said there was something bad or evil on the other side of it, and none of them would spend the night there. So
interesting.
That's quite interesting, yeah.
Yeah, Lee Woods. Where is Lee Woods then?
That's in Bristol as well.
That's part of the Bristol zone.
Yeah, so that's a lot gone on in Bristol in that area. And then what else do we have? They've obviously got the Kentish Ape Man or the Ape Man of Tunbridge Wells, which is a bit weird. The more I look into this, actually, I looked at this. So this story came up in, was it 2012?
Yeah.
Where I think it was a dog walker, wasn't it? It described seeing an 8 foot tall creature covered in hair and glowing red eyes.
Yeah, but this red eye thing is unusual.
Yeah, that's normally associated more with a paranormal type creature, like Shadow Man sometimes, or Mothman sometimes described as red eyes.
No, I've heard read a lot of reports and heard a lot of reports in America that Bigfoot has red eyes.
But in terms of actual creatures, like biological creatures, especially mammalian, it's almost unheard of. Have glowing eyes as opposed to reflective eyes.
Well, yeah, but glowing and reflecting.
And it's like a 200-acre common. It's very small. It's a very weird report. Apparently, this wasn't the first time it was seen. The first report was in 1942. But looking deeper into it, this 1942 report only came about after the report mentioned in 2012. Then another person came forward saying he was told of a story of someone he used to work for who saw it in 1942. So it wasn't like the 1942 one was already on record and it was seen again. So it's quite hard to know whether that 1942 one was actually happened at that time period or not.
Yeah, But then in Maidstone in '91, you had the Territorial Army who said they fought off a beast.
Yeah, I haven't got that report here, but I've read it a while ago.
It's in Maidstone, so it's a little bit further up.
But unfortunately,
There's
yeah,
quite
a
a
lot of
few around there.
the
In Maidstone, a couple also saw a ape man appear and then run off into the woods.
yeah,
Dartford is another place.
and they're all sort of all over. It's just I do quite like the one in Lee Woods just because it's a bit more different. That sounds a lot more actually like some
Bigfoot.
kind of escaped ape. Because it's also smaller than all the others. That they tend to all say it's around 7 to 8 foot.
Yeah, but that's just because people,
They
I don't know,
overestimate through fear or like actually estimating height's quite a tricky thing to do.
especially from distance.
Yeah. And then there's the Friston Forest as well, isn't there? Which is
That was
pure rife stuff.
Kristen Forrest with a voice, a cry.
Yeah, there's also in 2002 a lorry driver was parked up there taking an enforced break at 2:30 in the morning. He got out, stretched his legs, and witnessed a large bipedal figure, estimated again at about 8 foot tall, walk out of the tree line. Obviously
Yeah.
shocked, he jumped back into his cab, grabbed his torch, and shone it at the creature. He described it as very dark, possibly covered in hair, and the skin didn't reflect any of the light at all. So none of it reflected off it, and then it sort of disappeared back into the woods.
Yeah, I remember reading that. Someone getting away by bins or something.
Yeah, and that goes along then in 2012 was a woman and her friend who are actually investigating potential big cat sightings in the area. Were walking with their dog when it was tracking a scent and ran into some bushes. And they went whistling for the dog and they heard some screams come back. So they continued whistling and then the dog ran out with its tail between its legs, terrified apparently. So
Yeah.
and yeah, the sounds of like reports of screams and bangs and cracking whistles is quite common in that area, which matches some other reports as well, actually, in woodlands of things like that. So,
Yeah, and that's what they say in America. Bigfoot hunters in America say that's what they do. There's whooping and banging.
yeah,
Though I had a report today that they were saying, like, obviously, if these creatures are banging trees with bits of wood, then
yeah,
there would be evidence of damage to trees. But someone put in a report that they actually witnessed a Bigfoot making the sound of a wood hitting wood with his mouth.
oh, you saw that, read that today, did you? That's interesting.
I heard it today.
Oh, you heard it today.
I was like, oh, that's quite interesting. Different perspective. So why you wouldn't find any evidence if something can make that noise with his mouth?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Just another call, because some people say they make clicks and, high pitch and can imitate other animals.
Yeah, I suppose, I haven't really ever thought of it actually being a made sound as opposed to a created sound with items. That's
Well, I
interesting.
think a lot of people say it's hitting. If you're walking through the woods, that would be evident. You'd see, if you hit trees, and this thing's 8 foot tall, it's quite strong. It's gonna, it would be damaged evidence, but it doesn't tend to be when you're following the noises and stuff. So if it can make the noise itself or cracking sound.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. And obviously, I suppose in the UK, a long history of Wildman dating back centuries as well. There's like wood
Wildman,
carvings
yeah.
of it and stuff like that, yeah, from all over the country, particularly England, even though there's some in Scotland and stuff. England seems to be many more sightings, but that's just increased population
I was going to say, you've got the Highlands, haven't you, Scotland, so you'd be a bit more sparse.
Yeah.
But there's not just England, there's reports all around Europe.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, out of the UK, like England
I've
has
got
a higher report rather than Wales and Scotland comparatively.
I've got a story from Ireland.
Yeah, I hadn't looked at that. I'd seen there's some reports come in from Ireland, but I haven't looked at them yet, which I need to have a look. Have you got any there?
Yeah. What was it? Maxine Caulfield. Caulfield. She was walking her dogs in the forest, thought to be haunted, but was stunned when her pet suddenly stopped to stare at a creature that some were claiming is Bigfoot. She was in County Antrim, Northern Ireland.
Okay, that's
She
interesting.
claims her pets used their sixth sense to seek out the figure among the trees, but it wasn't until she arrived home and uploaded pictures that she noticed a spooky outline that looked like a furry creature lurking in the woodland. Ghost stories have been told about the area since 1942, when a US Air Force B-17 Flying Fortress bomber crashed into the mountains, killing 8 to 10 people on board.
Oh, No, I hadn't heard about that one.
Yeah, well, if it's Bigfoot or ghost walking around.
Yeah.
It's quite a good picture. It could just be a log, though, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, there's actually, when you look at loads of them, then you actually find out, like, uprooted trees, etc., can give all kinds of shapes, especially if it's something you want to see or whatever. That's all the reports I'd listed down. Have you got any more you want to run over?
I don't think I had any different ones than what you told on. Bigfoot on the loose, Tunbridge Wells. That's that one we already said.
Yeah.
Demonic Eyes. Maxine Crawford in Ireland. The train's journey one. On the train.
I'm sure
It's a
Journey
shame.
one's quite interesting, actually.
In Somerset, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But he was on his way, which isn't far from where the other one is. It wasn't that far from the train either. So we've got a werewolf one, or a humanoid creature that could be a.
Yeah, I suppose we'll have to sort of have a look into those because some of those reports are a bit blurry. They blur the lines between like an 8-man sighting or a potentially dog man or
Well,
werewolves.
yeah, this thing was stood upright, hairy. I thought it was an escaped panther, but it was stood upright, so it's in the Cannock Chase area.
Yeah, Cannock Chase is like fairly renowned for basically every type of phenomenon, isn't it?
Yeah, ABC's werewolves.
Yeah, I'd like to go there at some point. Actually, that'd be pretty good.
Yeah, I would as well. Black-eyed children.
Yeah, I mean, there's some problems with all the reports,
We've got
namely.
one here. I don't know
Yeah.
where it's based. A Friskinny Nature Reserve.
Right.
After hearing of previous Bigfoot sightings at the nature reserve, Adam from Nottingham decided to see for himself and ventured into the woodland in search of clues. But Adam's investigative trip surpassed all his expectations when he followed some strange noises and suspiciously large footprints into the woods before capturing what he believes is Bigfoot on camera. And there's a picture of something dark in the trees.
Oh, that's weird.
We stayed there for a few hours that day and felt watched and followed the whole time. There's a picture of a foot next to his, but it might not. If they hadn't drawn a red outline, I don't think I could work out that was a footprint. But then there's also the one on Facebook that was in. Where was that? You read it, though, didn't you?
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah, that was
Facebook one.
Yeah. Hold on.
Down as the Kentish ape man, he says.
Tunbridge Wells.
I googled the maps of that, and I thought it was near Tunbridge Wells, but it's not. It's nearer Canterbury. Still Kent.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
He calls it Sturry Wood, though, and if you read the comments, we did ask the guy if he could read it.
Yeah.
Sturry Wood, but he calls it. There's another guy who calls it.
I'll see if I can find it again now.
I've got it here.
I've got the conversation.
Yeah, well, yeah, I've got what he actually put. He encountered the Kentish ape man when he was a child, and his friend both saw it. We were terrified and ran back in the house. His house backs onto this wood. 1992. So I still remember how it moved. Long down, arms down to his knees. He grew up in the house, back onto the woods. Him and a friend used to spend the afternoon playing in the woods, climbing to the trees. For about 6 or 7 of us, it was their playground. Woods due to the time he spent there. One evening from about dusk, him and his friends were in his back garden. From the small wood over the small hillcock of my neighbour's side, we both saw at the same time a shadowy figure, and we both looked at each other just to confirm with the look that we were both seeing this. Its arms were longer than a human's, down to his knees, and the feeling was like nothing before. Now, bear in mind, for all the other times we had been alone in the woods playing as friends, we hadn't seen anything. It was only this occasion when we were in my garden that we saw this figure. I didn't witness the red eyes that are publicised. To be fair, as soon as me and Plain looked at each other, we ran as far as possible back into the house, terrified. Which you would do if you were a kid and you saw something like that. It was.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, that's in Cambridge, but Kentish, which is the same as Tunbridge Wells. They call him the Kentish ape man, aren't they?
Yeah, because it's just by county, isn't it? So.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I was looking in the picture he posted, the map looked really small of woods. But then I went into the aerial photograph of of the map.
Yeah.
Size wood, but not big enough to house, enough where we went on the woodland we went to. I would say it was probably 10 times the size of that.
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
But it looked tiny in his photograph. But I Google searched Hodes Wood, and it is quite a big woodland area, isn't it? when you look at it as a proper photograph, not just as a green square on a map.
No, it's a bit bigger actually, isn't it? I've just got it
Yeah.
up. The aerial.
It's not massive, but it's still.
No, it's like split across the road, isn't it? One side's much denser wood than the other side.
Yeah, like on the drawing on the normal map, it shows there's a lake and a river in there. Well,
Yeah.
you can't see that once you look at the aerial photograph. The trees
No, I'm
cover.
looking. I can't see any of that.
It's quite dense.
Yeah, I wonder how big that is.
But an 8-foot creature living in a wood that small.
No, I don't see that.
And there was a report that said, you were saying about how much people were saying, no, there's not enough woodland or land for creatures to be living in the country. Out of the whole UK, 2% of it is populated.
Yeah, I think probably the bigger, I suppose the bigger issue is like it feeding. If it's a primate, what they eat and how much they eat compared to what would be available for foraging here, and then also not coming into human contact. Like the woods they're seen is there's not actually a huge amount of food available.
No, but if they're
Not if you think of it as
travelling,
an actual primate, like you know, one of
yeah.
the great
You say
apes.
that Bristol Forest and Kent around there with big deer populations. And
Yeah,
deer's moving.
I mean, as a rule, like most primates don't actually hunt.
No, but then they talk about Bigfoot in America and stuff like that. They tend to find them on deer runs and stuff like that.
Mm. But yeah, I mean, when you look at a couple of the forests in like America where they've got Bigfoot sightings, you're talking it's larger than East West Sussex, Kent, and Hampshire and Surrey as a single woodland.
Oh yeah, there's going to be massive areas
You
out
know,
there, but
and I was like, I've always found it weird. There's nothing ever seen in Ashdown Forest, and that's like 9.5 square miles.
it don't cover the whole area, do they? They keep to the populated walk and stay to them. You just avoid them if you live there and didn't want to be seen.
Yeah, just seeing how populated all of it is, I don't know. Well, thank you all for listening, and we'll hopefully see you again next week for part 2.